yɛkai ɔmampani wantie dia nneɛma bi a ɔde bɛba parliament ha government business empo budget of 2023 no enye sɛ yɛn a yɛwɔ ha yi ɛne wɔn ɛka yɛn ho no yɛn participate ɛne nti yɛsrɛ ɔmampani sɛ deɛ ɛduro yi deɛ ɔntie asɛm no sɛ wɔntie asɛm no deɛ yɛn nso yɛnyɛ adwuma ɛwɔ parliament ɛmu yɛda mo ase bebree nyame hyɛ mo
wɔyɛ frɛ no progressive.
Fellow Akatamansonians, comrades, friends, and sympathizers of our great party, the National Democratic Congress. Here is your General, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. I picked my nomination forms to lead the party as the National Chairman into Victory 2024. I will be launching my campaign at the Karma Conference Center on Tuesday, 25th October at exactly 2:30 p.m. I'm inviting the leadership and members of the National Democratic Congress across the country, especially members of the National Executive Committee, members of the Regional Executive Committee, members of the Constituency Executive Committee, the Professional Forum of NDC, the cadres of the Revolution, the United Cadre Front, the Young Cadres, and the rank and file of the party, the communicators, and our foot soldiers. Don't be left out. Join the victory team. Join the history-making event at Karma Conference Center this Tuesday. Eyezu, Eyeza, Ahejobodo.
It's a song that people sing in the church. It goes like this. Neno nama misroshi, oyo dima fo nyame. Neno nama misroshi, oyo kwantre fo nyame. Big political stories from Ghana's politics after 32 years of a constitution. Tonight and today, there's been major epochal occurrences in the history of our politics. Members of the majority caucus in Parliament belonging to the New Patriotic Party issued a statement via press conference indicating what looks like an ultimatum that they're giving to President Akufo-Addo, the President of Ghana, and also the leader of the New Patriotic Party, and asking him or inviting him, perhaps even directing him to replace Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Tonight, we'll put a full analysis to that on the touch screen so you can understand. Meanwhile, we're keeping an eye. What's the time now? It's 9:15. We're keeping an eye on the meeting at the Jubilee House, which has started just about 7 minutes ago, between President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and members of Parliament, including those members of Parliament who occasioned that press conference tonight. Speaking at the press event was Mr. Andy Apiakubi, Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North, and also Mr. Eugene Nchi, who is Member of Parliament for Subin constituency. We're keeping an eye on that meeting, and if any information comes out of that, we will discuss it. When we get onto the touch screen, we'll tell you what we expect of the meeting. Also, tonight on our focus is Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the eternal General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, is tonight calling for a term limit of the various leaders of the political parties, like the party chairman and the general secretary. Here's a man who I call the eternal general secretary of the NDC. He's been general secretary of the NDC since 2006 until 2022. In launching his bid for the chairmanship, he is inviting Chairman Ofosu Ampofo to obey something called a term limit to step aside. Johnson Asiedu Nketia miraculously calls for a term limit after serving for more than a decade as the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. But that's not the only matter to the story. Johnson Nketia said other things about the reforms he proposes in the National Democratic Congress. Tonight we'll spend some time on that. Also coming up tonight, the big story from Court 7 of the Accra High Court, the first ever story of our friends at the Fourth Estate, which we have heavily criticized. The story on Lighthouse, part of it today came to light in court. The other day I was telling you that the Son of God is coming again. He came tonight. He came earlier today at the Court 7 of the Accra High Court. Now I'll tell you why our friends got into trouble with Court 7, and it sort of mimics the things I've been talking about all the time. That's what happens. And a great journalist is not the one who is always in court to answer questions. A great journalist is the one that the court has very little to say about, because you do your story and you do it well. We've seen journalists in this country. Kofi Kumsi never went to court. He edited the Chronicle in the shady days of the constitutional era, including even the times of the revolutions. He was never one time sued successfully in court. So sometimes people think, oh, you have to be sued and then you're a good journalist. No, it's not like that. I'll show you on the touch screen what happened to our friends, for which reason, within 1 hour of the court's ruling, they were compelled to issue an apology on the Fourth Estate newspaper. And then later on, we're talking about Galamsey. We promised you, former member of parliament who is coming from the pit in the Abuase area, will tell us the whole Galamsey story. Why is it so difficult to solve the Galamsey problem? Who is involved and who is not involved? The people involved, how do they get involved? How do they become involved? All of these matters coming up on Good Evening Ghana tonight. The second part of the show will be the interview. But these days, I don't do the introduction alone. We have language introductions. I'll begin with the introduction to the program in Mandarin. After that, we'll hear French. And tonight, for the first time, we'll hear Spanish. Okay, so Antoinette, ni hao?
Ni men hao.
Oui.
大家好，晚上好，你们都好吗？今天星期二，我们又回到了晚上好加纳的另一集节目。今天在加纳的那个议会上发生了挺多的事情，今晚在节目上我们也会讨论这个问题的，所以你们不要跑来跑去，你们一定要安静坐下来享受我们带给你们的最佳最好的内容。谢谢。
Ah bon, j'essaie de parler chinois une fois encore. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes ici avec notre épisode de Bonsoir Ghana. Comme nous le faisons, ah bon, nous sommes ici avec notre fille, elle parle espagnol, elle va faire l'introduction en espagnol. Alors, Andrea.
Gracias y del programa de español. Permanezcan pegados a sus asientos mientras los alimentamos con contenidos interesantes en el programa de hoy. Gracias.
Show continues on the touch screen, and sorry, it took a while for them to come to me because my legal researcher was here. He was showing me the numbers that are required for the censure motion to occur, because we want to talk about that. How much more will be needed, assuming the censure motion is tabled and the speaker admits it, and all NDC MPs go for it. How many more MPs will be required? He's just brought me the figure here. So we're looking at it. 20 minutes past the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. We keep an eye on Jubilee House to understand what the MPs are telling the president. It's a big political event in Ghana today. Why I see Nketia chose to launch his campaign today, I'm not sure, but there's a big political event. So the NDC and MPP logos are behind me. Yes, they are engaging in some quarrels. And also, we're going to be analyzing who is benefiting from this, because we always know that we have an election ahead in 2024. So between the MPP and the NDC, who is benefiting from this? And that will explain the sequence of events today. I'll show you that in terms of the benefit that the two political parties, the main protagonists for the election, in terms of the benefit that they are getting from the press conference that was held, or from the whole conversation about Ken Oforiatta, that the benefits that could accrue to them in terms of PR and the narrative is the reason why the sequence of events occurred today. They are occurring, and is the reason why you are now seeing a publication that John Mahama will be addressing the NDC faithfuls on Thursday. But I'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so let's go and hear the press conference. Sorry, the one we have is the one in Akan version. I don't know how, but we're an English program. So let's hear the press conference held by the NPP majority members who surprised a lot of Ghanaians today with that press conference. Some people knew about it already, but they surprised a lot of people with a press conference today. This is what Nketia Kubi said to the press this morning in Parliament.
Members of Parliament are your majority. Your majority caucus. Now, you represented Dodua and to me for one reason or the other. Now, you per se, you're penny for your president. It is say, near my cousin, and say, or my and nika, your consult to your constituents, almost so express the same sentiments. And into the economy, so after a leadership of Parliament, so any leadership of the party, so Sema Mampania Sunti say, ya per se, any money muyano, Yama Yura, Furiata, our finance minister, and ne Charles Dubahi, our minister of state in the Ministry of Finance, and Tranchain, na Abayajuma and Koso, send a bear, the confidence, beba economic system, na de Koso also so ebeba. And intine, ye jinaha can say Kobase de Yeke, or Mampani went here, and near maybe or the Beba Parliament, ha, a year government business. Empo budget of 2023, no, and yes, say, ye wahai, and ne omwe kan hono, ye participate. And inti, yes, sir, or Mampani say, the adroid, until assembly. So when Tia assembly there, yes, Yajma, our parliament, Yada must be bring a mission.
We're your friend, we're your friend of progressive.
Those are very strong words from Nketia Kubi, who is a member of the group in Parliament that held a press conference today. Now, just to wait, they said that they have come to the stage where their constituents have made the decision, and I've asked them to communicate that decision to the president, and the invitation is for the president to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and his deputy, and his Minister of State, the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Dubois, for both of them to be removed and for the president to replace them with other people. They are citing the economic situation for this recommendation that they are making to the president. Now, they go further to say that if the president does not accede to their requests and their demands, they will not participate in government business to the extent that they will not be available to support the passing of the budget. So that was a press conference that was held this morning. And it was held after many months of consultation, many months of talking and all of that, actually culminating in a meeting that is going on right now at the Jubilee House between the people you saw on the television in minutes and the president discussing this matter. Earlier today, Ken Ofori-Atta was seen in the president's company attending a meeting at the Council of State, where he sat with the government team to explain to the Council of State and on the things that have happened. He was also seen with the president during the meeting with the Association of Ghana Industries. Ofori-Atta was there today, by and large, sort of conducting his business as Minister of Finance. Okay, so who stands to benefit from this? And the opinions are varied, and it's a PR narrative. Therefore, as always, the opinions will be varied. Is it the National Democratic Congress? Okay, they'll get it back from me in a minute. The two flags. Is it the National Democratic Congress that benefits the most? Or is it the New Patriotic Party? So let's do a sort of dashboard and kick it out from today, this morning, the events that occurred this morning. So people have been talking about the Ghanaian cedi situation and all of that. MPP and NDC have been back and forth with arguments here and there, counter-arguments and all of that. The general truth, though, is that the economic situation in Ghana has worsened over the last 1 year. And it appears that it's an unabated slide downwards. That's what it appears. Earlier this morning, MPP people were showing the dollar on the first social media at 13.75, and they were sort of expressing some appreciation for it. That's kind of true, though, that the CD did some appreciation against the dollar, very minimal, and no one knows what the future holds because of the way it fluctuates and the way it runs down. Sometimes it can run from 11 CDs to 16 CDs in 2.5 days. So no one is really celebrating the appreciation. People are adopting a wait-and-see attitude. So that's how the day started, isn't it? And then this press conference came. Okay, so how would the ordinary Ghanaian, who is neither committed to the NDC or the MPP, but interested in living his life in Ghana, okay, how is he going to view this situation? So that's where the political battle started, okay. He's going to view this situation and say that, okay, the MPP are in power, and everyone knows that the system is bad and there's something going wrong. And the NPP people are telling themselves that their Minister of Finance is not good enough, he needs to go. And they are going to tell the president that he should get the Minister of Finance out. That's how the ordinary Ghanaian is going to see it. He's going to think that somehow the NPP people are able to solve their own problem and they're able to speak truth to their own power. He's going to sort of think about that. So who is then owning the solution if whether Ofori-Atta remains or not and something happens and we get around it and this also passes? Who is then owning the solution? The solution will be owned by the New Patriotic Party based on everything that ordinary Ghanaian is seeing. The NDC saw that, so they said, no, that's not going to happen. Okay, so 2 hours later, they come to Parliament with a censure motion by the National Democratic Congress, knowing that the censure motion will not, as a unit, as an NDC unit, they will never be able to carry out a censure motion because of the rules of the Constitution, which I'm going to read to you. Article 182 of the Constitution is clear on what a censure motion is. And the real story in Article 182 is that a censure motion requires 2/3 of the Parliament to pass it. So any group of members of Parliament who are not 2/3, who bring a censure motion, it is more for the PR narrative. It's not so much that they think they can carry it out. That's what happened today. And this issue about censure motion of Ofori-Atta has been talked about for a long time. But as the NDC looked at the narrative of the day, given the very tight political situation we are in, the very difficult economic circumstances, and how everybody is waiting for a solution, it's important to them as the opposition. If they cannot own the solution now, I mean, they could have owned the solution a long time ago, but somehow over the crisis, in terms of the PR narrative, the NDC has been struggling to own the solution to Ghana's problem. They've been struggling with that. So if they are not owning it, then the NDC or MPP also shouldn't own it. But when they saw the press conference today, they didn't know how the issues will snowball to the rest of the day. They thought, we have to say something about this. We have to have a voice in this matter. So they bring up a censure motion. With 137 people, there's no way they're going to carry the censure motion out. So the censure motion requires 2/3 of members of Parliament to pass it. The MPP people who held the press conference today said that they were 80. Not 80 people showed up, but they said that their numbers are 80. So if you look at the censure motion requirements from under the Constitution, if all of NDC members of 137 or if you like 136 now are going to be voting in favor of the censure motion that it may be carried, they will still require 45 or 46, depending on whether it's 136 or 137. They will require 45 or 46 members of the NPP to join them to be able to carry out a censure motion. But you see, that's interesting because people hold a press conference and threaten that they will not participate in the budget. They didn't talk about censure motion, the NPP people. But then the NDC is then offering them something, which is simple. In case you go to have the meeting with the president and it's deadlocked and you can't find anything, don't worry about the budget. Leave the budget. We will present a censure motion so that you can join us. So that's the observation that as PR people we are making. That is quite interesting. And those of you who think like this, like what I'm saying, or you think another way in terms of the narrative and how it's showing today, you can send your message to our ladies at the social media desk. They are ready to receive your message on Good Evening Ghana official. But I will go on with the analysis. Next, we are going to the next level of the conversation. Now, what's the next level of the conversation? The next level of the conversation is the MPs are going to go to the president. They are already there. The president is not going to accede to their demands straightforward in that manner because the president has said publicly what his view of this matter is. And the president has quite significant support within the leadership group of the MPP on that view, you see. Now, so the president is going to come back at them, and the arguments have been made today. People say that you're in the middle of negotiating with the IMF. Why do you change the negotiating team? Why don't you let them finish and then you can change it? They're going to finish this negotiation sometime in February or March or something like that. If the IMF program is running over 2 years, they will have to be engaging them all the time. So other people are saying that, what are you talking about? The dollar is 16 and it came from 11 to 16. Let the guy go. We don't care. We need to fix the problem. Let him go. And even the confidence that comes, it is in their imagination, but that's what they say. That some confidence is coming from somewhere, no problem. But that's the double argument that is being made. So the president might most likely ask the MPs that, what is the problem? What has Ken done? He's in the middle of the negotiation. Why don't you keep him there? That will go on back and forth. They'll talk. I don't know what they'll say, but there'll be a lot of conversations around that. Pros and cons, a lot of it will go on like that. And then the president may ask them, okay, if you don't want Ken Ofori-Atta to be Minister of Finance, and you also don't want Charles Edouboin, whom do you want? That's where the problem is going to start. And that's where, it's not a problem, but that's where the juice is, if you like. That's where the juice is. So president is going to ask them, whom do you want? Now, they're going to bring up names of people, And those on the other side are going to ask them that, but this man is this man is, you said Ken is that. And all the names they are going to bring is going to be benchmarked against what Ken Ofori-Atta can do and what Ken Ofori-Atta cannot do. So if you bring someone, Ofori-Atta people are going to say that you don't want Ken, but you want this. You say you don't want an investment banker, but he's also an investment banker. So that person will lose. Then they put another person in the basket. Then this will go on, that will go on. All that is going to happen tonight. Maybe they'll get to that side of the conversation. Maybe they will not get to that side of the conversation. But here, we are going to get there. So our next slide is going to talk about potential replacements for the job if, very, very big if the MPs who held the press conference today were to succeed. Okay, so we look around. People have mentioned Boakye Jarko. And why is Boakye Jarko in? For my own money, it's a doubt. It's a major doubt. If we're going to bet on this, Boakye Jarko will be 1 to 50,000. In terms of the odds to become the next finance minister. 1 to 50,000. That's not going to happen. However, the analysis is saying that if President Akufo-Addo wants to go back to his team A, his first cabinet team, and want to pick somebody who comes nearest to Ken Ofori-Atta in terms of understanding finance and banking, and also has the global reach, it will be Boakye Jarko. Because of his experience in America as a banker, investment banker, corporate banker, and all of that. Now he's been Minister of Energy. He has a fair understanding of energy issues as well. So if you want somebody to steer the ship at this stage, there's IMF negotiations going on. He studied in America, worked in America, so he's very familiar with all of those things. If you really want somebody who can steer the ship at this stage, and President wants to go back to his first cabinet, Boakye Jarko is the one. I put, in terms of money, 1 to 50,000 for Boakye Jarko to become the next finance minister. But let's move on. Mark Osei-Sibe is being talked up by the bookmakers as the most likely person to replace Ken Ofori-Atta because the revolt against Ken Ofori-Atta is coming out of Parliament. Mark Osei-Sibe, who is no longer in Parliament, by the way, but who for the first term of the government was the chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament, is much loved by members of Parliament on both sides of the divide. He is also thought to be a pure economist. And people distinguish between the skill set that African countries need at the Ministry of Finance. They think is more economics than finance. It's more economics than banking. It's more economics really than investment banking. So people talk of him as a pure economist. And they also say that based on, he has had a big history with the World Bank, and based on his history with the World Bank, chairing or leading IMF negotiations in the absence of Ken Ofori-Atta will just work as good. And he's worked in the Parliament, he worked on all the finance documents in 2017, so he's very familiar and he has a lot of institutional memory. So the bookmakers put him very high up. If you ask me for my money in terms of whether all of this process goes through to the point where there is a change of Minister of Finance, well, I think yes, many people think it will be Mark Osei-Sibe. But the big if is whether the conversation will get there at all. Okay, here is Mr. Bernard Mensah, who is also, well, an sort of outlier, sort of dark horse, perhaps most likely, perhaps because he's not interested in leaving his big international job now as a vice president of one of those big firms. And he controls Asia and Europe and all that. Bernard Mensah, however, in terms of genes, is the son of B.A. Mensah, and is the brother of Herbert Mensah, the famous Kotoko chairman. So Bernard Mensah, in terms of genetic connection to Ghana, has a lot. His father is B.A. Mensah, the industrialist. He knows about revolutions. He knows about everything. He comes to Ghana often. He's in close contact with all the important people in Ghana all the time. So in terms of slipping into a Ghanaian top job, Bernard Mensah is great on that. Now, critically, those pushing for Bernard Mensah are talking about the IMF negotiations and the global crisis that we have and how you need a Minister of Finance who is a globalist and also can negotiate with anybody, anywhere, and that person will respect him. A lot of those people are putting their money on Bernard Mensah as a caretaker finance minister for the next 1.5 years or so, because that's all he might get. If he doesn't want to leave his job, that's all the leave they will give him. Go and help Ghana, and then we'll wait for you for 1 year only. So that's what people are saying. That it's almost like a breach of the gap. You know, so people are pulling left, people are pulling right. If you go the Bernard Mensah way, it's a win-win situation for everyone. Ofori-Atta will be more than delighted to step aside for Bernard Mensah because of the relationship they have and the amount of respect they share among each other. So everyone thinks Ofori-Atta will not mind at all that he steps aside for Bernard Mensah. The IMF will be happy to receive a Bernard Mensah to be negotiating with them. The members of parliament who want Ofori-Atta out will be happy that Ofori-Atta is out. And Ofori-Atta's people will be happy that they are out but Bernard Mensah is in. So everyone thinks that if you really want to solve this problem and move ahead with competence and eloquence, Bernard Mensah is the one that you go for. Those of you who are watching who don't know who he is, Google Bernard Mensah right now and see what you find. Okay, let's move on. Who else do we have? We have Professor Jan Bafo, and Professor Jan Bafo is also thought to be a peer economist. Now, those who are talking about Jan Bafo are basing it on his work with the Kufuor administration as a Deputy Minister of Finance. He showed sterling qualities, and Ban Redu always used to praise him. Professor Jan Bafo's expertise is monetary policy and that kind of thing. So people are thinking that with the kind of situation you have right now, it is Professor Jan Bafo that you need. Some people who don't support him say that he's a bit old, crossing 70. You don't want a Minister of Finance. It's a very hectic job, and particularly at this time, it's very, very hectic. There's a lot of political pressure. There's a lot of social pressure, and then all kinds of pressure on you, and you don't want Jan Bafo to do that. So that's the story about Jan Bafo. The next one here is Uncle Kwame Pianim. Of course, Kwame Pianim should always be an important advisor to any Minister of Finance in Ghana. That should go without saying. We don't know whether that's happening or not, based on his experience and his expertise. Kwame Pianim is still quite active, but now he's over 80 years old. He's a very strong 80-year-old, by the way, but now he's over 80 years old. I'm not sure how people will receive the announcement that Kwame Pianim is the Minister for Finance. Of course, but Kwame Pianim is probably the best Minister of Finance that Ghana never had, if you know what I'm saying. So that's the story for the potential replacement of Ken Ofori-Atta, and this is the Ken Ofori-Atta story. It's now 38 minutes past 8 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to get on my phone and check what's happening at the Jubilee House. Did I say 38 minutes past 8 o'clock? I shouldn't have said that. 22 minutes to the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. And this is Good Evening Ghana is live. Our next story is the NDC story and Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Our third story is the Fourth Estate's contempt story. And we have an interview in the studio about Galamsey. This is Good Evening Ghana and is live. Let me see whether you have text messages. Do you? Otherwise, we'll take our first break. Let's take our first commercial break. We'll come back, we'll take the text messages, and then we'll do the Asiedu Nketia story. We'll be right back.
Home theater bay, TV bay, so no beheno.
High Sense TV.
High Sense TV.
High Sense TV. High Sense TV.
Who's your one cup for High Sense TV? Picture size here. Picture no. Full clear. Momentum way mount. So connect to High Sense Home Theater and the more High Sense TV. Commentary no. Over to say gig him. As the original hobby. Kenya say, yes, that's the World Cup match. No one can traffic me. And no more High Sense smartphone. And dancing. Shower phone so. Picture the sound. And clear. Qatar 22 World Cup. Yes, I was sharing a feeling. Yes, I'm saying so tons for my heading. Madam High Sense. Martin to say. Who? And the opportunity. High Sense World Cup triple promo. Everything 20th October. Coming 28th November. Mobile phone, sound system, TV, one Tobia, why yo ho? Yeah, that's a crime, I'm real. High Sense one about 5 years warranty. Promo way, our High Sense showrooms now. Our Ghana for Nina. High Sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Located in the beautiful neighborhood of East Legon, Accra, AH Hotel and Conference has all the comfort and luxury you need for the perfect getaway. From check-in to check-out, our friendly staff look forward to pampering you and making your stay special. Our new safety features, such as shielded check-in desks, masked employees, and contactless restaurant menus and door keys, will give you peace of mind as you enjoy your stay. Our spacious and contemporary designed rooms and suites are the height of luxury and style, fitted with modern amenities for your convenience. Take your company to the next level when you host a conference or meeting in our ultra-modern conferencing complex. But don't forget to take time to relax and rejuvenate as you enjoy our many on-site facilities such as our gym, pool, and world-class restaurant. Locate us near American House or call or visit us online today to start planning your next stay. AH Hotel and Conference. Afrocentric.
A state-of-the-art facility built with your family needs in mind. A medical center positioned for all your fertility problems and other diseases. Medimosis Clinic and Prostate Center. Our goal is to help our patients achieve and maintain optimal health. We have fully functional OPD laboratories in all our branches. Do you have problems urinating? Medimosis is the ultimate solution. Our Prostacure X capsules and Prostacure Herbal Tea.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thank you very much for your time. And I was going to ask for the video that played during the social media break, but we don't have too much time. So let me go to the text messages right now, and then we will come back and continue with our next story, which is the NDC story, which also occurred today in Accra. It's Good Evening Ghana. It's still live. Let's go to text messages now. I begin with you, Eunice.
Okay, so we are going straight to the text messages. Let me get them here. So coming from Alidu Umar, Paul, I am disappointed in the majority group in Parliament. Why? Because they are rather interested in winning next elections instead of looking for permanent solutions to the economic problem we have in our hands now. So the majority as well as the minority should be thinking of Ghana first, but not their party interest. Alidu from University of Education, Winneba Main Campus. Coming from Emmanuel Sarkodie Echampong. I can't believe my eyes. Just this evening, Mr. Paul, in fact, Ghanaian Christian traders are indeed very wicked. I rushed to buy baby food SME. She told me it's finished. Mistakenly, all the items fell, not knowing she has kept them in the back of the shelves waiting to increase the price tomorrow, since there has been an increase in transport. Can you imagine, Paul, what actually is happening? Can there be a solution to this, Kanka? And also coming from Aaron Babako Kokomisa. The increment in transport fares will automatically increase the price of goods and services in the system. With all due respect, we do not need a record scientist or a political prophet minister to educate us on this. These increments in transport fares would create economic tension and hardships in the system. This transport fare increments would create fear in the system. That would tantamount to artificial food shortage in the system. My point is that professional economic bodies we have in the system should also come out with a proper economic measure to salvage the situation. This can be in the form of press releases. I think the ministry in charge of the increment in transport fares must be up and doing. That is, before any form of increment, they should study the economic situation first before asking passengers to pay additional money. Over to you, Annette.
Okay, so this evening we have a few people sending in their text in the Chinese language, so I will read them out. This is from Kwabena Entry. He said, Wang Shang Hao, Woman Ye Hen Hao. Okay, that's nice. He said he's doing well. This is from Fred Mark. 太棒了，我们也很高兴听到我们的语言现在是今晚精彩节目的一部分。谢谢保罗。He's thanking Paul for introducing the Chinese version of the show. This is from Erroneous Anthony. He says, Ken Oforiatta should have mildly resigned long ago and saved himself from this embarrassment. I do not understand why Ghanaians hold office even if they are confused about their roles and responsibilities. Should I say we do not understand resignation, or we are always hungry to steal in all situations? This is from Wisdom Fiashide. He says, Paul honestly is a great journalist rather than the one who is honestly honest, truly objective, and politically neutral. This is also coming from Baba Chairman Tamale. He says, the president is the one causing all these mess in the party and government. The NDC is engaged in political gymnastics because they know what they bear asking for and can't and won't work. This is from Nati Bongo. He says, Ghanaian parliamentarians are a big joke. What actually is Ghana's impact on the global financial market that sacking the financial minister will halt the depreciation of the city? Let's go to Jacob Koulibaly. He says, Ken Oforiatta must please resign in order to create chances for DMB talents to follow. Ken, we are sorry. Over to you.
Okay, so this is coming from Alidu Umar, and he's saying, from UEW, Paul, some market men and women in Ghana are intentionally increasing the prices of foodstuff just in the name of economic crisis, especially Winneba Market, where I school currently. Because as for them, they increase prices on daily basis without any justification. So Paul, I'm appealing to you to come and see things for yourself in Winneba, watching you live from UEE. And also coming through from Master Planner Junior, Kentampo, our major problem as a country is beyond Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, the man who took the economy of 3.6% and managed it fantastically to 7% before COVID-19. I wish Ken will resign to save his integrity. Thank you.
Right, Alexander Safa says, nobody enjoyed hardship. And what most Ghanaians seem to understand is that Ghana didn't get into this mess within Akufo-Addo's era. We didn't do the right thing since time immemorial. What is the plan of the country? What are we building upon? Do the youth have hope in the country? The economy is not in collapse. We haven't reached negative growth. We are 5.4% at growth. I can't say the finance minister has failed in all aspects. He has done a great job in the past. But as we speak, I think he should do the honorable thing by resigning. My problem with the majority MPs is that couldn't they have gone to the president quietly without making it public? Lastly, although times are hard, it is not enough reason for retailers to be fleecing customers in the name of keeping pace with the dollar. Even goods that are not remotely impacted by the exchange rate are being priced beyond reach. I miss 1979. May the soul of the late President Jerry John Rawlings rest in peace. David from Media says, good evening, Paul. Why is Dr. Anthony Akoto-Osei not in your list? This must be an oversight, I guess. Salisu Setre says, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta has done a lot for Mother Ghana. The policy rate on the GM, even without global economic downturn, was 25.4%. Honorable Ken managed to bring our policy rate to 13.4% before COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine. And why should he be sacked? The majority MPs must be careful. Okay. Zakari Agunu says, good evening, Paul, and thanks for the good work you're doing. I think the removal of the finance minister is in the right direction, but beyond that, the president has to do a complete overhaul of the government functionary to keep his appointees on track. Samuel Kojo says, Dr. Makasibe Yeboah is the right person for the finance ministry. My regards to Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah for Ofuase Aibre constituency. And this is from Albert. He says, I don't know why when the NDC MP Martin Pebu got the chance to speak, the only thing they say is for the president to resign. Even under the tenure of Mahama that we experienced a shambolic administration, Kenyans still had patience. Okay, and Peter Kwesi says, I totally agree with those NPP MPs who held the press conference. The president has made his appointees believe that he would never remove them from office no matter what. Finance ministry is just one of the many ministries that the president will shake up, not forgetting the mess caused by MMDCEs. And lastly, this is from Junior Akbar, watching us from Tamale. He says, factual program in Ghana, good evening, and your viewers. I think the majority of the MPs did very well. I think the finance minister should be resigned and chance given to another person to see what will happen.
Okay. So, yes, that's where we are. I'm going now to the touch screen to do the NDC and Nketia story. But I'd like you to give me the Ghana flag, and I would like to make a comment about the current economic hardships and bring you back to something that we used to talk about that we stopped talking about. Give me the Ghana flag, and let me get a sip of water, isn't it? After that, okay, whilst I take my water, let's go to Commonwealth Hall and hear what they have to say about Good Evening Ghana. Let's hear that. So whilst you do that, I'll drink my water. When we come back, I'll do the analysis about the economic hardship. It's just 4.5 minutes long. Then I go to Kama Conference Center, where my friend Johnson Asidu Nketia launched his campaign today with a lot of meat for journalists to chew on. Commonwealth Hall now.
Good evening.
Okay, so let me talk quickly about this matter. I'm taking you back to the arguments we had and the controversies about whether or not we should elect our DCs. So you see when, and there's no modern society in the world where the DCs are appointed by some president. No, it doesn't happen anywhere in any modern society, not in Nigeria, not anywhere. But President Akufo-Addo said, I don't want to appoint DCs. The NDC initially agreed in Parliament. Later on, they said they would not agree. It became a brouhaha. He came and withdrew the potential constitutional amendment because there were some people around him who said, Mr. President, we have to give jobs to our people. And you have to appoint nearly 200 DCs and you say you don't want the power. But that's the mark of a good leader, as I keep saying. If today, in Ghana, in 2018, we had elected our DCs, then the DC of Ganorth, he's just Ganorth he controls. People know him. People know where he is. He knows that the yam sellers are fleecing customers on the market. He can go with his people to the Ganorth market. It's small enough for him to be able to control the market prices and control this stealing and hoarding that we are talking about. This hoarding text messages we are getting now. If I'm in Nketia, I'm in Labadi, I'm in Nungwa, I'm in Dansoman, and I know of somebody hoarding, the DCE who has been elected by me in the community on partisan grounds, his MPP DC or his NDC DC is one of them. I go to him, I say, Chief, look, people are hoarding here. That DC is able to control that small market. Now we want the presidents to introduce control prices across Ghana, from Gambaga to Accra, from Iri also to Keta. He should increase. And how is he going to police that? How is he going to check that? The president sits in Accra and tomorrow he comes to do fellow Ghanaians and say, as President Kufuor actually did in 2008, and says rice price should not sell this as a kilo. What are you going to do? Who is going to protect it? But if the rule was coming from an elected DCE of Infantiman, of Medina, of Legon, of this elected DCE, elected in a small area, he is the boss. He has been elected by the people. The people who are there where the prices are going up in the small shops are looking up to him. Otherwise, they will not re-elect him. He has a political party to protect as well. Whether it's NDC or MPP, he has something to protect. So NDC will now be boasting and say that our DCs in Peto and Keta are checking the market. Go and look at the prices. Look at MPP DCs. Look at their place. Look at how the prices are high. MPP DCs are going to say that, look at every district that the prices are high. You will see that it's an NDC person. They don't know how to manage. That's what we were going to benefit from as citizens, because we become the customer and they are competitors. And now they are right in our district. They have to run the district where we can see this is a government running the whole country. And that's why you see figures, GDP growth rate, and it doesn't mean anything to you. That's the reason. Because if those GDP were taken from your community, then every morning you will check the inflation in Labadi market before you go to Labadi market. And when you reach Labadi market and you see the inflation and the one on your paper and it doesn't reflect in the market, you tell, but the document says that tomatoes should have not gone more than 2%. Why are you? Because inflation in Labadi market is easy to see. Inflation in Ghana, about 20,000 markets have been taken, data has been taken to put that inflation together. So it's wide and varied. That's why they put inflation. We always complain that this inflation doesn't mean, it will never mean anything to us because we are running such a large government. And it's impractical, it's impossible, and it continues to beat my personal imagination. Why a president whom we are complaining has too much power says that this power that I have, I don't want it anymore. Let it be shared among NDC and MPP. And our response, especially some of the media people, their response was that we don't want too much politics in our society anymore. I don't know whether they don't look outside Ghana to see how modern societies are building themselves. But that's the narrative the NDC ran into. As for the NDC, I can understand them. They don't want Akufo-Addo to get the credit for anything. I can understand it. So they are political opponents. So yes, whilst they agreed in Parliament and the Hansard shows that the concluding of the debates by the minority leader was in full support of the president's recommended amendment. Later on, the party outside said, no, civil society accepted it. Because everybody can tell that that's where we should be going as a country, to be able to move ourselves as a modern society. But anyway, I'll leave it here. Let's leave it there. And then, do you have text messages? Let's pick 2 or 3, and then we come to the NDC story. You don't have text messages? Anyone has? All right, it doesn't look like they have. Do we have another commercial break? We do, but no, let's take the NDC story because we still have a mining story to go to. Okay, so let me start with Johnson Asiedu Nketia. You can take this off and have something else there, if you have something on Asiedu Nketia. But let me go to Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and let's talk about his launch. So he launched his campaign today. For me, the biggest part of his campaign launch was calling for term limits for party or executives. And this is the eternal Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the eternal General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. And he has been there for 2006 till 9 is what? 2006 to 16 is 10, to 26 would have been 20. So you pull back, we are in what? 22 minus 4, 16 years. He's been there for 16 years. And he's calling for term limits. I'm totally shocked about this, but he did call for term limits. Let's hear him, however, in the first statement he made, talking about telling the delegates and the faithfuls today at the Kama Conference Center that they should vote for great leaders. Here is Johnson Asiedu Nketia. They said they should vote for good leaders.
For all their mismanagement and terrible governance, all of us know that the MPP is prepared to kill for power, as they demonstrated in Ayawaso West Wogon attacks and the callous murder of 8 innocent souls during the 2020 elections. In their arsenal is a deeply partisan electoral commission that believes their singular duty is to rig elections for MPP and emasculate all other political parties. The NDC must therefore be properly organized and have a leadership that exhibits untainted integrity, fearlessness, trustworthiness, proven temperament, selflessness, discipline, accountability, transparency, and emotional intelligence. Above all, we need a leadership that has the moral courage to stand up to the marauding MPP in the 2024 elections. The NDC needs a chairman who is not amenable to any influence, inducement, or compromise by any external force. Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, it is these qualities that I humbly bring to the table in the contest for the chairmanship position of our great party.
Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the eternal General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, talking up his qualities that he brings. I'm going to play you through the event, and after that, I'm going to bring in the gossip. Who and who were there, and why were they there, and how do we gauge Asiedu Nketia's positioning within the context of John Dramani Mahama based on the people who were at the event. So we'll get to that in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Wait for that. Let's, however, indulge Asiedu a little bit more. And after that, I'm going to play to you the 9-minute video of what Koko Anyidoho, speaking on the Kumasi radio station Kesben, said about Johnson Asiedu Nketia. And then we close Asiedu Nketia page. We wish him well on his campaign, but we're going to tell the NDC people what to ask their executives when they come to them for vote. The last time I said we'll say it, today we'll tell them. The single question to ask them, if they cannot produce an answer to that, don't elect them. Okay, all right, but you don't have to listen to me, do you? This is Johnson Asiedu Nketia again, talking about the reforms that he's advocating for the NDC party if he were to be elected chairman.
There is a whole raft of reforms that I would like to see implemented under my chairmanship and in conjunction with all stakeholders. These, I believe, will further strengthen the NDC and make it even more viable. The following will be some of the proposals and policy positions I will be bringing on board for consideration as national chairman. 1, it is true that I have been the longest serving general secretary of any political party in Ghana. But it is my view also that organizations need to grow and evolve as they do so. I think the time has come to consider the introduction of term limits for office holders in NDC, as this will help encourage participation of young people at the highest levels of the party and make office holders more accountable. 2, I would also propose a decentralized national congress to elect party executives, and as we have done with the flag bearer. I'll propose that they are, as a first step, held at the regional level, and then after testing the outcomes, held at constituency levels. The direct benefit of this is cutting down the astronomical cost of holding large national congresses with thousands of participants and the associated risks of traveling from far and near for such congresses. Special and well-structured party conferences devoid of campaigning can be held subsequently to discuss party constitutional and policy matters as well as matters of national interest. For many years, we've all known that the current mode of selection of party executives and candidates at all levels is too costly and unsustainable and has implications for governance when we come to power. For a mass-based organization like the NDC, there is an undeniable need for much broader participation by as many members of the party as possible and at the least possible cost. We cannot perpetually encourage the unsustainable expenditure associated with vying for positions in the party. It is for this reason that we attempted universal suffrage in 2015 primaries. Despite varying degrees of success and challenges during that attempt, it remains the best way to curb monetization and restricted participation in party primaries, and I will be tabling it for consideration as chairman of this party.
Very interesting reforms there sought by Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Let's go quickly to analyze whom and whom were there at the event, and later on we will I just got some screenshots of President Mohammed's responses to the MP's removal of Setekpe. Just for bringing it back to you, I'll bring it back. So they're working on it when it's ready. Okay, back to Asiedu Nketia. Back to Asiedu Nketia now. Who and whom were at the event? Joshua Alabi is the first one. Now, what does Joshua Alabi represent? Joshua Alabi represents more of both sides of the NDC, grassroots and intellectual and all of that. You know, he's the brain behind the UPS, the University of Professional Studies. Joshua Alabi also ran for the presidency the other day for 2020, and he lost widely to John Dramani Mahama. Actually, Joshua Alabi came second, winning something like 3% of the votes or something like that. He came second, and he came second to John Dramani Mahama. They made a lot of peace together ahead of 2020 election, and he was named as a campaign manager of John Mahama's campaign. So if he shows up at Johnson Asiedu Nketia's event, then your bet is as good as mine. John Dramani Mahama appears to be in the corner of Johnson Asiedu Nketia. That's just how it appears. We don't know whether that's what it is, but that's how it appears right now, because Joshua Alabi was present at the event, and he is a blue blood John Mahama man right now. He's one of those. But if John Mahama decides, either if he loses 2023 or if he wins it, if John Mahama decides to step aside from the leadership of the party, everyone thinks that, many people, not everyone, many people think that he might not mind Joshua Alabi ascending to that position on his auspices. So Joshua Alabi is one of John Mahama's people. He was there at the event today. So yes, okay. Ben, my good friend and brother Kwame Wadako, of course, he's a blue blood John Mahama man as well. Kwame Wadako was, I was actually pushing for him to be running mate to President Mahama the last time, because he's a very good brain, Kwame Wadako, if you know him. He's the only person in the history of Ghana that has been appointed to head two particularly powerful oil organizations, Tema Refinery and Boston. He did what looks like a sterling job over there. So Wadako is a good guy to have as a friend. Now, Kwame Wadako is also a John Mahama guy, you see. Is one of the strong John Mahama guys from the Ashanti region. He was present at the event as well. So that tells you that the John Mahama people are with Asiedu Nketia. President Mahama himself, of course, was not present at the event. But if you look at the conduct of the event and the presentation of it in terms of the style and the background and backdrop, it's a handiwork of Stan Dogwe and his team. They work very hard on putting these events together. They do a lot of that for President Mahama. So if you look at the Asiedu Nketia event, it looked very much like a John Mahama event. We are waiting to see what Ofosu Ampofo puts up. if you want to see the contrast, look at some of the Dufo Ahoto events and look at John Mohammed's event and look at Asiedu Nketia's event. You will see that the production is very similar, you see. So it was a John Mahama production, wasn't it? Okay, so next was Auntie Betty. Auntie Betty Moldudrisu, recently been speaking on the same side with President Mahama, brutally on the situation about the judiciary and the NDC suspicions about the judiciary. Betty Mould has echoed quite a lot of that, even though she was John Mohammed's competitor in the 2008 was it 8 years? 2008 race to become Professor Mills's vice president. Betty Mould came second in that race, as you all know, and so he was John Mohammed's competitor then. Later on, she was named Attorney General and later Minister for Education. She is a big fan of President Mahama, and people are thinking that when the pressure mounts on President Mahama about this running mate of Jenna Nopokwajiman, and President Mahama decides that I'll shift Jenna Nopokwajiman, but I still want a woman, many people think that person would be Betty Mould-Idrisu. So it's all up in the air, you see. All the speculations are not done. Betty Mould-Idrisu is yet in pole position to become the running mate of John Dramani Mahama if John Mahama were to get the NDC nomination, which is an 80% talk chance. All the bookmakers put John Mahama as an 80% chance to represent the NDC in 2024 election. But there's pressure on John Mahama to take out the running mate Jenna Nopokwajiman, not to repeat her as running mate, and all of that is creating a lot of conversation in the NDC, heated conversation I should say, and most likely it's also part of the underpinnings of this contest between Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo and Johnson Asiedu Nketia. If that were to happen, Betty Mould is in pole position to become the running mate, so she's a true John Mahama person. Now she was also at the event today. So what is left? What more should we see to say that Johnson Asiedu Nketia is John Mahama's candidate on the ticket? On John Mohammed's ticket to remove Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. What has Ofosu-Ampofo done really wrong to be able to occasion the displeasure of all of these important people? And John Dramani Mahama, Betty Mould-Idrisu, Kwame Wadako, Joshua Alabi, and I believe I have Bevlo Latte, the National Security Advisor. What has Ofosu-Ampofo done to occasion a displeasure from all of these people, including what now looks like President John Dramani Mahama? Well, we are yet to find that out. So this is the story. Johnson Asiedu Nketia launched his event today, and all of these people were there. We showed you videos of what he said. We showed you earlier his advertisements, his PR stuff that is completely and absolutely funny. And I like to call it back. And I don't know what happened. I don't know whether the people who were prepping him, but this guy really doesn't like those things. He doesn't like standing in front of camera, take a photograph. It all showed in the advert that he made, inviting people to come to Conference Center today. Play the advert again for them to see. My friend Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Have a look at the advert. Have a look.
Fellow Akatamansonians, comrades, friends, and sympathizers of our great party, the National Democratic Congress. Here is your general, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. I picked my nomination forms to lead the party as the national chairman into victory 2024. I will be launching my campaign at the Karma Conference Center on Tuesday, 25th October at exactly 2:30 p.m. I'm inviting the leadership and members of the National Democratic Congress across the country, especially members of the National Executive Committee, members of the Regional Executive Committee, members of the Constituency Executive Committee, the Professional Forum of NDC, the cadres of the Revolution, the United Cadre Front, the Young Cadres, and the rank and file of the party, the communicators, and our foot soldiers. Don't be left out. Join the victory team. Join the history-making event at Karma Conference Center this Tuesday. Eyezu, Eyeza, Ahejobodo.
Okay, I wasn't laughing. I was just watching an advert. So what I need to say, Johnson Asiedu Nketia's team, we are going to send them an invoice because we've played the advert. Haven't we played this? We've played it. They didn't ask us to play it, but we have played it. And didn't you see it? You are a witness. So they call you to court. Did you watch Good Evening Ghana? Did you see the advert? You will be our witness. We are going to sue him. If he says he won't pay, so we are sending him an invoice. We played the advert twice today. Asiedu Nketia's people, you owe us. You didn't tell us to play, yes, but we have played it. And when we played it, people watched it. We didn't ask them to what. They saw it. Once they saw it, they remembered that you did something at Kama Conference Center. You owe us. If you don't pay, we go to court. It's not a big fight. And all of you watching, you are witnesses. Please send us email. I'm a witness. Then we line up all our witnesses. 500 at the court. Yes, I saw the advert. It made an impression on me. It made me think Asiedu Nketia is a good man. Asiedu Nketia, you owe Good Evening Ghana and Metro TV 2 adverts. The adverts were 1 minute, something like that. Okay, so 25,000 each. So 1 minute, we played it 2 times, 25, 50,000. Please, the donation that you are getting from all the important people who came to the event today, please, we beg, come and pay us our 50,000. We have played your advert 2 times. Yes, you didn't ask us to play it, but we have played it. And when we played it, people saw it. And when they saw it, you made a good impression on them. Especially with the advert, the way you say that, friends of NDC, please come and the way you said it, you made a lot of friends, so you owe us. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, for the last time, come and pay us our 50,000. Otherwise, we go to court. Okay, we end the story at 13 minutes past 10 o'clock. We end the story to going to one of the people who says that he has studied on Johnson Asiedu Nketia very well, and he really doesn't like him. Is it a person of Koko Anyidoho who also told this interviewer that there's no truth in the fact that Asiedu Nketia had dismissed him from the party because he cannot dismiss him from the party. He actually has a party card, the new party card. He has it, so he's not dismissed from the party. Here is an interview called from Kesbin FM with Koko Anyidoho having very harsh words for General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who is now in pole position to become the NDC's chairman for the first time. Yes, Koko Anyidoho.
So are you in politics?
Oh, certainly. I cannot leave politics.
Oh, yeah, politics.
Oh, Master. Atamnos Institute.
In the name of which party?
NDC and the Republic of Ghana.
NDC.
Oh, Master, I have the new ID card on my Nancy.
New party, new registration on my Nancy.
I have my ID card.
Oh, ID card. Where your branch, Ben?
My branch is in Tanyigwe. My village.
What about
my holy village? Oh, Manfamba.
One Famba.
Why is there? Master.
Party now almost more from 2020. You've been sent from the party. About the sign alcohol registration. Branch executives need to make sure when you register.
Why not say Pammy? I said Nketia. And unfortunately for him, President Mills, one of the most profound statements among many. Our catch me. I'm there up to now. And somehow now I'm saying it. Only the Anisekoku, know them, but don't let them know that you know them. That will be your weapon for success. It was because Penyimbia Freme, senior member, at the right time I'll mention his name, he knows himself. Say on himself, Koku meet the president. Koku, you are sitting down there as head of communication presidency, director of, spokesperson, blah, blah, blah. Adana watina hona, nkoran korea we didi, President Mills at him. By midday, I want you to issue a statement. Make sure you go after Rawlings 100%. Finish him. Finish him. Hey, I'm on standby. By midday, that statement should be issued. Me say yes, sir. Timi Kosro, Ejame Ekoku come in. Me call in. I'm say, so and so has told me to go after Rawlings because of you and the Funka thing. Say, Koku, sit down. I'm telling you today, whether I'm alive or I'm dead, never insult Rawlings. Koku is a trap. The day you insult Rawlings, those same people will run to me and come and say, have you seen what Koku has done? The only thing which will appease Rawlings is unless you sack him. Long and short, these ones, know them, but don't let them know that you know them. The day they know that you know them, they will come after you more viciously. Keep it to yourself. At the right time, they will know that you know them. And this is the right time. Master. So we've known them for years, but they just say, oh, yes, sir, until yes, no. Seven months where Jimmy. Jimmy. So I'm NDC. So I said, Nketia, he's one of those people. He thinks that he's smarter than everybody. So all this mapam koku, it's not anything. He was thinking, say, Ochetuma, he will provoke me. That's one of his tactics. He likes to provoke. Oh, he likes to. He just does it. Oh yeah, no. He will provoke you if you make a mistake and you go after him. Then he will sit and he will laugh. Because even the original, the so-called dismissal letter, the original one, my same name was even spelled wrongly. So assuming I had reacted, he will be on air. Like I got you the cry. So you say this spelling it. Sad, you know, because he thought that he would provoke me. I'll get angry. I'll say all kinds of things. Then I'll say I've resigned from the party. That's all he was looking for. So yes, and I was his deputy for 4 years. And because I was doing yes sir for 4 years. No, him say minimum. So I said Nketia thinks that he can just sit down, manipulate the party constitution, do all kinds of things and get away with it. But maybe the idea or the happen. So for the records, nobody has dismissed. In fact, the director of legal, Ibrahim Amaleba, yeah, he's on record to have said on some media platforms, and he's a lawyer. He understands the constitution. At least I'm not a lawyer. I think he's also not a lawyer. So I want to give Amaleba that legal authority over both of us.
Exactly.
And he's on record to have said that nobody, and I repeat, nobody has dismissed Kokwanyido.
And the rule of natural justice,
exactly,
right?
Fair hearing
on your part.
And the 1992 Constitution is supreme to any party constitution. And in that 1992 Constitution, a man cannot be pronounced guilty until he has been given a fair hearing. So what was a fair hearing I said Nketia gave me before claiming that he has sacked me? And up to now, look, I don't live too far from him. He has not been bold enough to come and give me any dismissal letter. Until no social media. Now why the public on social media so? Or you bema negate nano. No for letter me man ko kwanyi do ma pam every party no. Na the basi
because that party no work bemu a yen application.
Thank you. Then again,
and where is it?
Exactly. It's a voluntary organization. And it's ridiculous that somebody said and then the dumb a House of Folk and the Arsenal. Now Arsenal, a chief executive at baby said, "Wa pam me free Arsenal, so I can't support Arsenal again." Kofi Wahibeka na say, "What ibida?" I see. It's ridiculous. But this is coming from a man who that's how he functions. He officially to be bobia kwasia, obe to me asun fidia ma obi amanatom. Any ne oye kukukuku so pecha manedi by bedru 2014 when we were going to the Kumasi Congress. People wanted me to contest as Nketia. They did everything. When I asked them, and that was the beginning of this whole, all these things that are happening today. It started some time ago. Everything has a history. So when I asked them, they said, "Oh, we want to get out Kwamneji. We want to get out Asedu Nketia. We want to get out Yaojan. We want to get out all the pro-Mills people." I'm like, where from this pro? Mills is dead. He's gone.
Yeah.
So what is this business of wanting to get out pro-Mills people? Meanwhile, the same pro-Mills people, are they not the ones who have also helped for us to win the 2012 elections? So what is this business? Oh no, they are too powerful. We don't want them. Flagstaff House doesn't want them. I see. Anyway, so we want you to contest as Nketia. No, by that time I made up my mind, said, make a deputy. So I refused to contest as Nketia. And he knows the story.
In 2014.
2014. Of course, so they were able to get out Yaojan, get out Kwabneji, get out other people. I refuse to contest as Nketia. So he drove to me. I've said it elsewhere, but I'm saying it again on your platform. That Asedu Nketia drove to me at the castle where I had been left naked in my office. So Asedu Nketia walked into my office. Now he sat down and thanked me profusely. So what did that was his way. No person contesting me, but sika you na account but also won't hey after na matia sia the entire President Mills no pay what some sir because people like you are rare in Ghana politics. Say sika nyina kan say be member power cho but usi won contest me. Nyankopon hira. Me call for the third time yi. Me shall bo ekantam e wo me mami wu no so. Say me call for the fourth time. Yes. Me call for the fourth time. After the third time, where am I will step aside. Then you can take over because I now can trust that you are a man of integrity and a man of stature. I'm telling you, he came that time. It had never even occurred to me.
It was even like a blessing.
Like, Massa, and did some deep analysis. I won't even go to the analysis as to why he believes that I will be the best person to take over as General Secretary of the party. So we went to Congress and we came. I was his deputy. And so for me, I wake up to order. And
you worked with him?
I worked with him, not once. Wait, check the records, not once. Until all this unnecessary fight.
Okay, so that's Koko Ajidoho and on Johnson Asidu Nketia, and that's how we end it. But as I said, I received some reminders from Facebook, and it looks like, as Solomon said in Ecclesiastics, what has happened is what will happen. What has been is what will be. There is nothing new under the sun. Okay, so let's put it up on the social media pages that we received about what happened yesteryears relating to finance minister and president and members of parliament. The equation was very similar. Members of parliament had a view on the finance minister and the president had a view on the finance minister. It just turned out that the president's view of the finance minister is opposite the view that the members of parliament had of the finance minister. Is that the same thing we're experiencing tonight? Let's have a look. It's taking too long, is it there? Okay, so read this one. What does it say? President Mahama says something about Setekwe. He says that MPs want him out, but he's not going to get him out. This one page that we got from sometime 2014. Let's see the other one as well. That one probably is clearer with the headline that he gives. Okay, that's too small, so people may not be able to see it. Okay, but just to remind you that this has happened before and it's happening again. We still keep an eye on Jubilee House to understand what is happening with the president's meeting with members of parliament. It's being held in the strictest of confidence. It's held behind closed doors. There are no journalists there. We'll do our best to get you some of the information, the one that we get, we can share with you. Do you have text messages? Okay, Eunice, do that as I go onto the touch screen to deal with contempt of court issues, and then I'll come for my big interview with former Member of Parliament, Prof. Kwam, who is also an educationist. He's coming from the pit of the Galamsey. He knows everything about it. He'll be talking to us about that. Yeah, Eunice, let's hear you.
Ah bon, avant de continuer, n'hésitez pas à envoyer vos messages en français. Je vais le lire pour vous. So what I said was, before continuing, don't hesitate to send your messages in French and I will read them for you. So continuing with Safianu Adam, he's saying that, good evening, Paul. The action of the majority MPs in Parliament is not only historic, but also unprecedented in the history of a multi-party democracy. The majority MP's action today makes me feel like I'm living in one of the countries with advanced democracy. From Safiano Adam Pusiga. Coming from Baba Chairman from Tamale, he is saying that the NDC themselves know that they are not abreast with the standing orders of Parliament than the NPP MPs. Mohammed Hadi is also saying that Nanado is not holier than thou sort of person and should listen to Ghanaians when all fingers are pointing at one person. Liz Truss came to power in less than 50 days and accepted that she did mistakes and she resigned. Why can't African leaders think for the sake of their country? Ken Ofori-Atta need to have been told to step down. He should have resigned willingly. Mohammed Bamba is also saying that, Paul, this your analysis is right in my head throughout the years, but my colleagues are finding it difficult to take. Coming from Bendi Ghazi. At this point, who cares about Esiedu Nketia? Tell Nanado to fix the country. Lily Rose is asking what Esiedu Nketia is wearing. She's saying that, what is he wearing? Is that a smock with shoulder pads? And she added laughing emojis. And coming from Kojo Oates, Ghanaians have forgotten how NDC propagated against Nanado's government for not going to make it work. But they don't have policies yet. They want to be in power. Kennedy is saying Paul and the general. He's added lots of smiley emojis. And then also lastly from Frederick, he's saying that, Paul, there is a mafia behind the recent CD4. Same situation happened in 2014 under the NDC. Because we look at every economic challenge with political lenses, explains why it will happen to NDC again the next time they are in government. Don Medical is saying, I'm a witness, with smiley emojis, and then Tanko Abia is also saying, I saw the advert. Over to you, Annette.
Okay, so we have some of our viewers also sending in their text in Chinese, so I'll read it out. He said, 我们不喜欢看到加纳的美元贬值，因为我们的业务正因此而崩溃。加纳需要优秀的管理团队来帮助，就很快就解决这个美元的问题。我可以说加纳是世界的金藏，因为它是在整个世界的镜子中发生的。我相信加纳肯定会很快就翻蛋。He's talking about the depreciation of the Ghanaian currency, and he says his business is at the verge of collapsing because the cedi is depreciating against the dollar. But he's very, very optimistic of the fact that Ghana will come back to the economy we are used to, but he says that we need the best party to help manage the economy and bring back the economy back. This is coming from Gasty Man. He says, I don't think this control price issue will work because we are living in a liberal economy. For General Mosquito, I am even surprised how he could be so much greedy politically like this. He has insulted almost everyone in Ghana, including chiefs and pastors. He looks older than Nanado, yet he insults Nana with his age at every opportunity he gets. Xavier Yamidi says, I thought Paul would go deep into talking about Ken and how abysmally he has mismanaged Ghana's economy. Nana Kwesi Ajeman says, Mr. Paul Adumotri, I respectfully disagree with you. Are you saying since our current MMDCEs are not voted, they can't perform the rules you're narrating? In any case, why not advocate for voting for MMDCEs but not on partisan basis? Please come again. This is Otu Asari. He says, there are times when one must give way for others to also show us what they can do. Just like soccer, at times a player may feel they're doing well, yet the coach will change them. Honorable Ken should give way for another, then we'll know who is the cause of the problems. Another Paul is talking to Mr. Paul. This is from Paul Kwabena Ej Ejapong. He says, for how long must we hold on to positions after public cry? The honest person will resign and save his name and allow karma to judge. Sorry for Ken for waiting till now. He should have done the honorable thing. And lastly, from Nanaya Afre, he says, I love your social media editors. We love you too.
Okay, let me come in because hold it on Spanish. We don't have much time, so let me deal with this one. And today there was a court case. You know the Lighthouse and the court case of my friends, the honorable gentlemen. So I'll go through them again. Manasseh Azuri. I was calling him Azuri. It's Manasseh Azuri. Suleiman Brahma, the one who says Good Evening Ghana is a comedy show. Then this is I just forgot the name again. Tell me again. He's going to, who has the, yes, Apia. Yes, the first name is what again, please? Edwin Apia. This is young man, very, very nice guy, Edwin Apia. He got into bad company. You see, bad company corrupts good morals. That very nice guy. He's in bad company. What's the bad company is he in? This one, bad company. This one, bad company. Okay, so bad media company, only with media. I don't know about the rest of their lives, but with media, that's bad company. All right, Professor Kwame Kaikai, the one who I really don't know what to say about him. Very decent guy, very knowledgeable man. West Africa for Media Foundation for West Africa. They've all been found contempt of court. I guess he probably didn't know what was happening on a day-to-day level. He probably would have advised them another way. But certainly, Suleiman Brahma will know what is happening. And let me tell you how they got into the contempt of court problem. And that's what I talk about all the time. You see, journalism is an intellectual exercise. As soon as you don't think of it as an intellectual exercise, you're going to get into all sorts of troubles. If the society is not watching, then you can get away with it. But when we have a society like the Ghanaian society that is really watching all the time, you cannot get away with these kinds of practice of journalism. Recently, I had to put all of them here, didn't I? It had nothing to do with the Lighthouse case because it just came today. But I had occasion to complain about them. And the way they do their journalism, the journalism they do is just about them win award and become somebody who is catching some minister who is all the work they don't do a developmental based journalism. They just do somebody's a thief, let's go and catch him. And they never talk about foreigners who are working in Ghana who are probably doing worse. They never talk about them. It's always about Ghanaians. Some Ghanaian businessman is a thief. Manasseh had a post the other day that 95% of Ghanaian businessmen are thieves. How he got to know that, I don't know. Whether he's a policeman, whether he's a high court judge, I don't know. But they set out, somebody's a thief, and then what happens? They go to Maputo in Mozambique and collect an award and come. They said, how do you feel about this award? They say, oh, well, we're just helping the poor people of Ghana to save their money. It's not true. You're not helping poor people. You're derailing poor people. If you don't do developmental journalism, that creates a society. Without creating a society, you cannot catch as many thieves. Why? Didn't Rollins shoot people for having 2 toilets in their home? Didn't Rollins shoot people for taking a loan? Didn't Rollins kill people for corruption? How many years ago is that? You are only writing. Rollins there, he took a gun and he shot them. So that should have ended the corruption. When Rollins took a gun and shot them, what did Rollins himself find out? He found out years later that the corruption was around he himself. Did he shoot himself? He didn't. So the way to do it is to build a developmental society. The way to do it is to build the Grundnorm, as they say. The way to build it is to build the regulations so that, because we are all human beings, you cannot extricate stealing and corruption, but you can reduce it to the barest minimum, make it very difficult once you build laws, once you build a society, not when one journalist who comes up, and a lot of these people, they do that because they need a lot of love. You see, when you don't get love at the beginning, you kind of feel like that, which is okay. So they are not bad people, but it is that they don't have love. So they're looking for that attention. So they have to win an award in Maputo, in Mozambique, and all that kind of thing. That's what has got them into trouble today. And if I tell you what they did, you'll be shocked. And when the ruling comes out in a couple of days' time, I'll bring it here and read it. So there's a trial going on. Some pastors are alleging that Lighthouse is taking their money, didn't pay their sin, all of that. You know the story, don't you? I've been here in brutal and relentless support of Lighthouse Church. I still stand the same way I stand. And I'm critical of the Fourth Estate because you don't want to start a newspaper or an online portal, and your first story is a speculative story about somebody has stolen something you cannot justify. That's not how to start a newspaper. It brings down the image of the media in Ghana. You don't start a newspaper like, you start a newspaper with a great story. You don't start a newspaper with a story that you are not sure of. It's a baseless way of starting a newspaper. And that's the first story is what has gotten them into contempt of court today, that they had to issue an apology. I'll read the apology to you. It's all looking like they're going to lose the eventual case, and they're going to lose the defamation case, and they're going to be asked to pay a lot of money to Lighthouse Church, and they are going to be in trouble because of the way they do their journalism, which I've been talking about all the time. So a case is going on. Lighthouse pastors say they're not happy with Lighthouse, something like that. They're in court already. Okay. Then the Fourth Estate publishes the Lighthouse people's story without any verification whatsoever. That's the danger of journalism. It's crass journalism, isn't it? They publish it without any verification, okay? Now, the people sue them. Lighthouse sued them in the matter. As Lighthouse sued them, they continue to publish the court report, not just a report, but they editorialize it, the court report, to continue to make Lighthouse look bad. Lighthouse reported to the court. The court says, don't do that again. Now listen, the court told them, you cannot do that when you are doing a trial. They continue to do that on 3 separate occasions after the court said, don't do that. What is in their head? My man, why? Court said, don't do something. You didn't hear. The court said, don't do it. You see, that's what I talk about, the delusions of self-grandeur, the arrogance of their ineptitude. The arrogance of their ineptitude. You go to court, you are on trial for something. Yes, a civil matter is not a criminal matter, it's civil. Court says, don't publish things about the court without it being just a report and spin it. After that, court said, don't do that. 1, 2, 3 occasions, they continue to do it. Lighthouse goes back to the court and says, court, this is the publications. Why are they still doing that? We are bringing a contempt application against them. The judge is furious. He looks at it and says, okay, the contempt application is granted. Now you're going to pay a fine or you go to jail. I don't like that in my court. Is that the way to raise the name of journalism? Is that not the very way to bring down the name of journalism? That judge is going to go away thinking some journalists are some empty coconuts. You tell them don't do something, they do it. That's what you've done to journalism in that court with this behavior. I don't even want to qualify the behavior. With this kind of behavior, that judge, the lawyers in the court, the lawyers at the bar who come to court and see the trial because they're waiting for their case, all of them are going to walk away with a reduced mind of journalist. That's what the JJA should be suing you in defamation. That's what it is. That's what you've done. You go to the small boys and girls lawyers are going to ask, but Ghanaian journalists, what's wrong with them? Didn't the court say he shouldn't do that? What's wrong with him? That's the gossip that was going around in the bar when your judge was telling you that you cannot do that. That's what it is. Bringing down the name of journalism to the average Ghanaian. So they sue them in contempt. Azuri is the one who wrote the apology. I'm going to show it to you. This man says he knows everything about media. He says, good evening, Ghana. I told you, when people think Good Evening Ghana is a comedy show, it just means they don't understand the other part. Because comedy is important. It's part of educating, entertaining, informing. But this man, it's only the comedy he sees. I told you, he does not understand the rest. When we are doing the analysis, he doesn't understand it. But he's doing media foundation, and look at this simple matter. Your reporter comes and tells you that court said this. If the reporter doesn't tell you, you get a court report. You sit down and 1, 2, 3 publicly, you call yourself Media Foundation for West Africa. That's what the judge would think Media Foundation for West Africa is. It's a crass organization. That's what the judge would think. Based on these kinds of behaviors that was exhibited before the court. That's what they do. This is the warped journalism. This is where it takes them to. Put the apology on the TV. This man, I'm sorry for him. Please go to Joy FM and find a job. This is your company's bad company. Go to City FM. Tell Samens that I said you should call him. What's his name again? Mr. Apia. Mr. Apia, tomorrow call Samens. Say that, Samens, Mr. Adumochis, I should call you. I want to be a reporter at City. That is better training, okay? Don't join this kind of company. Don't join them. They are gone. Don't join them. You're a young man. You have potential. You have talent. Prof, please bring these things to order. We respect you. Bring these things to order. Okay, so we are done on that matter. Here is the apology. Let's read it. The Fourth Estate, pursuant to the order of the court, apologizes to the Honorable Court for its publications found to be in contempt of court. The High Court Commercial Division 7, presided over by Her Ladyship Justice Jane Harriet Akwelekwe, this morning upheld an application by the Lighthouse Chapel International for contempt of court against the Media Foundation for West Africa and 3 of his officers, 2 of whom were responsible for authoring the Darkness in Lighthouse series in 2021, while suits by 6 of his former pastors were pending in the court. Is that all? Shouldn't be. Maybe that's all they have. But then he goes ahead to sign it, I think. Oh, but we should have read it to see, may not be all. Okay. I think that's all they have. So in the end, it's signed by Editor-in-Chief Manasseh Azuri is the Editor-in-Chief. He signed this apology. And the apology was to be issued within a certain number of hours of the court ruling. If they did made a mistake, they would have seen that it's a serious matter. Now, what's the punishment? They're supposed to pay a fine. We don't know what the fine is. The ruling will come out tomorrow. We'll get it and we'll read it to you on Thursday. They're supposed to pay a fine. In default of the fine, go to jail. Yeah, they should be able to pay the fine. If they can't pay the fine, the GJA should pay the fine for them. There's no sense in putting anybody in jail. It doesn't make sense at all. So the GJA can pay the fine for them, or Professor Kaikari can pay the fine for them. But it is the effects and the ramifications of this, what it means to journalism. And I'm both sad and happy that we've been talking about this thing forever, and people don't see it. They think that we are fighting a battle with Fourth Estate and with Azuri. No, we're not fighting any battle with them. We are critical of the way they do their work, because the way they do their work, this is the way it ends up. After the break, Galamsey.
To help meet your business and private printing needs successfully, we have just the right products and services. At Appointed Time Printing Limited, we specialize in digital printing, offset printing, packaging and security printing. Our innovative designs and complete professional touch on our print products such as posters, flyers, brochures, magazines, poll cards and any other print solution of your choice ensure that our customers are always happily connected to their audience. With our security printing section, our clients are assured of a highly secured and confidential work process from start to finish. At Appointed Time, our prices are very, very competitive. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165, 0501 4541 67. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is the solution.
2 tickets to go and watch this World Cup. I can't afford this.
Masa, take that trip with Amma. You both deserve it. You be with Yenda. Hey, slow down, bro. With HD Plus, you win double. Watch the World Cup feely, as if you are in Qatar, and stand the chance to win prizes, including a trip for 2 to Dubai in December in the HD Plus or the double promo.
After watching the World Cup, Amma and I will be chilling in Dubai. All I need to do is to enter the HD Plus or double promo.
Purchase an HD Plus decoder with a special sticker. Watch the World Cup matches in quality pictures and stand the chance to fly to Dubai with your loved one. Register via *844*8#. Existing users are also eligible by simply subscribing for 3 months and above.
This promo is valid from 15th September to 5th December 2022. Approved on the NLA Caritas platform.
Welcome back to the show, isn't it? And now we have a conversation on Galamsey. No word from Jubilee House yet. Very, very tight. Very tight. Hopefully it's going well. And there will be some announcements, I'm sure, later tonight if the meeting is conclusive. Honorable Joseph Albert Kwam is with me. He's a former member of parliament, and he knows everything about Galamsey. But do you have messages for us? Can you take two messages on the last topic so we get to the Galamsey and we can pay attention to it? Let's start with you, Eunice.
Okay, so I have one message in French from Malimou Saïdouma. Bonsoir Paul, avec vos demoiselles au studio. Je suis Saïd, countryman d'Afo. C'est très triste cette situation dans laquelle nous sommes tombés, alors que l'économie est sous le choc du ralentissement économique mondial et que certaines décisions ici ne nous conviennent pas. Nos commerçants locaux étouffent également avec des prix exorbitants. Les incréments annuels sont tout simplement trop. Il y a trop de cupidité qui se joue sur nos marchés. Cette situation est non seulement malheureuse, mais également immorale. Les gagnants profitent du système pour tuer leurs compatriotes gagnants avec des prix tués. C'est dommage. Nous devons changer nos attitudes. He's talking about the economic situation in the country and how our local businessmen and women are shocking us with exorbitant prices. And Odro is also responding with c'est la même chose même dans des pays avancés comme le Canada, c'est simplement de la cupidité. And Odro is also saying that it's the same thing in other countries like Canada, and it's just simply greed. Yeah. That is what I have here. Annette, do you have any messages?
Yes. So Master Planner Junior Kintampo says, our major problem as a country is beyond Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, the man who took the economy of 3.6% and managed it fantastically to 7% before COVID-19. I wish Ken will resign to save his integrity. This is from Baba Chairman Tamale. If the finance minister, and for that matter, the government can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, I believe the managers of the economy think this haircut thing is okay to investors. Now, Gideon Ochedako is saying, good evening, Ghana is the best current affairs show in Africa. Do you have some?
So, coming from Dash Stinkon, he says, if General Mosquito wins chairmanship of NDC, then the party will fully turn a violence party come 2024. And also coming from Gastiman, he says, I don't think this control price issue will work because we are living in a liberal economy. For General Mosquito, I am even surprised how he could be so much greedy politically like this. He has insulted almost everyone in Ghana, including chiefs and pastors. And also coming from Nanaya Odro Mensa, he says, Azuri is suffering from mini menopause as a result of failed career disappointed journalists. And lastly from Ora Afrane, he says, Paul, why are we why are you not making noise about your beloved Presec to win the NSMMK, or you are also feared about Prempe?
Okay, so yeah, I was just talking to Michael, another that day who was sitting with me about Presec chances. You see, we win, so we're semi-final, quarter-final, we are not interested. Sure? Bring the victory, then you see the display here. We are preparing. We don't celebrate getting in the final. It's a cliche. It's with us every day. We don't. At Disco people that when they go to final, they're all over the place. St. Augustine's, they go to final. St. Peter's, when they come to final once in a long time, you know. So when you are 12 years, St. Peter's came to the final. Next time in the final, you are 27, that kind of thing. No. Presec, we are in the final all the time. So when they said we are in the final on the platform, they said, so what? So what? We are waiting for Wednesday. If we don't win, we'll congratulate them. Getting to the final is good. We congratulate them. If we win, we make the noise. But that we are in the final is not a big deal at all. Those who want to celebrate being in the final, congratulations. We are used to it. Okay. Right. So it's Presec, Prempe, and who, Michael?
Presec, Prempe, and then the Zebras. That's Adisado.
Adisco are in the final. That's why they are happy like that. And they are in the final with Presec now. So, I see. Oh, Adisco and Prempe and Presec. That's a good final. That's a good final. Prempe are strong. Prempe are strong. Are you at Prempe College? Yeah, Prempe are very strong. Adisado, it depends on the price of something in Cape Coast, but I won't say it. I can't say it. That's Adisco. Prempe, we respect them. Prempe, they are strong. That we know they are. Adisado, round one, will dispose of them in round one. So from round 3, the contest will be between Presec and Prempe. Adisado will stop very quickly, you know. But Adisco, they're in the final. Adisco, they have to celebrate because they don't know whether they will win. So then the final, if the price of the thing is down, they are inside, you know. But these days, with the dollar going the way it is, I'm sure the price of that too has gone up, you know. Because the farmer who goes to bring the thing, he buys something and all that. Yeah, okay. And when I say farmer, I still don't know what I'm saying. So, Uncle Joseph, honorable member. So, how did you get acquainted with mining as a politician, member of parliament?
Oh, my dad is from Awaso.
Awaso?
Yes. It's a mining community, bauxite. My mom is from Amansia West. It's also predominantly gold mining community. So you can just imagine. And throughout my studies, my MPhil and PhD centered on mining, environmental mining and land reclamation.
That's what you studied?
Yes.
What was your first degree?
I did biological sciences at University.
At University. And then you went on to do?
MPhil, environmental mining and land reclamation.
Oh, I see.
I did
land reclamation?
Yes.
Okay.
And I did PhD in environmental science.
I see. So you've been engaged with the mining thing for a while. When we say Galamsey, what does it mean?
Paul, Galamsey is in quote an illegality from mining. If you do mining, mining is supposed to be legal. But anybody that more or less indulges in mining without papers, without document, without legal documents, is predominantly doing Galamsey. So irrespective of having maybe a license which does not allow you to mine, but you use it to mine, it's an illegality. And all of them.
What kind of license will not allow one to mine that he may be tempted to use it to mine?
Paul, we have small scale mining license. It's legal. We have that of the large scale lease. It's legal. We have prospecting. It's legal. And we have that of reconnaissance. All of them are legal documents. But then, it's only the small scale mining lease license and that of large scale mining license that you can use to mine. But in the case of reconnaissance and that of prospecting, you do not have that right. But mostly, the reconnaissance and that of the prospecting usually, I sometimes refer to them as abuse and misuse of those licenses, because some people usually go for those licenses. They don't actually do what is expected of them. And some even, in quote, demarcate their area of concession into small-scale holdings and give them to some people to mine. When you go to their area of concession, they will tell you it belongs to them. But yet, you see some people on the field, on the concession, working.
So why did Galamsey increase after the president has set a task force and they had done Operation Galam Stop or whatever they called it, the Primpom Boating one? They had soldiers, they all went inside there. It appears that the Galamsey actually increased.
Oh.
What happened?
Ghana is gradually becoming a bigger country. We all have to understand that. The love for mining is becoming big. Many people believe that going into mining, they will get quick money. And I think I share sometimes with them because it's a business. Let's put it that way. A lot of people want to go to that business to have jobs. But then, Paul, let's look at this. Averagely, 35 to 40% of minerals that we accrue in this country is from small-scale and artisanal mining. So where do we get this from? Of course, if averagely Bank of Ghana records, let's say, 7 billion of the money that you get from mining. I'm talking about mining. But then they get, let's say, $44 million as their share of that total amount. But then, if you look at the totality of the 7 billion, and 35 to 40% of that is from small scale, then of course it means that small scale is a good venture, which the government should look into it very critically, help those people in the mining communities to do it and do it well.
Yeah, so my question is, how did the Galamsey increase after the government is paying attention to it?
Oh, the reality is that sometimes I call it non-availability of land for concession. I'm talking about a concession. If we create more concessions for many people, for them to come up, give a lot of education, for them to own the land, definitely people will go into legal mining. It's because of non-availability of lands. For instance, I was a former board member at Minerals Commission. Over there, we decided we need to create more concessions, small-scale designated areas for a lot of people to have job to do. Through that is where we came out with this community mining concept. With the community mining concept, it's not anything. It's just the same thing as small-scale designated area. But this is a special program that we came out with. Our aim was to make sure that we increase more concession into the system for a lot of people to have areas to mine legally. But the reality is that this is my humble appeal to the Honorable Minister and Minerals Commission to increase the number of concessions, the small-scale designated areas. That will allow a lot of people to...
So when you go into an area, how do you start the mining? So you come to a ground in anywhere. How do you start the mining?
Paul, first and foremost, you have to at least look out for an area. If, let's say, you want to go into small scale, you have to look out for an area which has been designated as small scale designated area. When you get that, then you
by
pick...
geologists. Geologists have made that designation.
Minerals Commission.
Okay, yeah, Minerals
Commission. Then you pick coordinates from that block. When you pick the coordinates, you need to go to Minerals Commission to make sure to see if the place is free from encumbrance. Free from encumbrance. That place does not belong to anybody. Then you start the process of registering in order to get your license. And here, that's another problem that we also need as a government to solve it. Delay in acquisition of license. Per the law, it's supposed to be 3 months. But sometimes when people apply, it can take about a year or 2. By the time they realize, those who actually want to go into the proper registering of small scale, by the time they realize, getting the licenses, other people will go and mine the land. So if within, let's say, within the Mineral and Mining
So what
Act.
is this we see on the TV? What is this right now? Is that a land designated area and there's so much water in between?
This is more or less a Galamsey. Because if you look at...
So whose land is that? Is it a designated area? Where is the
No.
water from? Is it from the earth or they brought it there?
No, there's the dark out area.
They dig out?
Yeah.
And mix the water down?
Yeah, in mining, when you dig, that obviously water will come from the ground because the water table may be high. Yes, that is it.
Then where do you find the gold? In the water?
You see, if we are to go into geology of that, you may, sometimes some areas are rocky. Some areas are alluvial.
What is in the sack?
This sometimes this rock. This is more or less a rocky area, but they have to go deeper into the into the underground.
So what's the excavator doing there?
This is more or less an alluvial type of gold. Are you getting it? So with this, they will have to dig into the down to make sure that they go to where the gold, they have what is called a lode. There are certain rocks that contain the gold. So when they get it like this, then they bring it to this side. This is more or less a plant where they wash in order to get the gold. You see, this system is more or less an alluvial. Alluvial, the gold is heavy. This, you see the plant in the form of gravity.
So you can't take alluvial for small scale?
Alluvial.
It can't be small scale?
No.
So this kind of land here, what is it?
Sometimes they have a whole lot of systems of washing in order to get what you call it, the mineral. So when you go to some areas, they use samphire. When you go to some areas...
What is samphire?
Samphire is water floating machine. What we refer to as tutututu. This is the area where mostly destroy the water bodies.
The samphire?
Yeah, the samphire. Mostly,
Is that
you
it?
see.
Is that it?
Yeah, that is it. This is the samphire on the water bodies. This previously around Ofin area they were doing dredging, but this more.
So they put this in the water.
They put this in the water.
And do what?
And dredge.
And you get gold?
Yeah, they get gold. Gold is, of course, obviously, there's a gold. This country is Gold Coast, so
Yes.
anywhere that you take, you will get gold. But this is what we are against. We are against this because what you see here, they are destroying the water bodies. And honestly speaking, Paul, about 70 to 80% of those who normally use some fine on the water bodies are not Ghanaians. Let me put this one on record.
How do you know that?
Oh yeah, because most of them are from some from Togo, some from Mali, some from Niger, some from, what do you call it, Burkina.
Do they work for the Chinese?
No. They work for themselves, but they team up with some of the Ghanaians.
I see.
Yes. But the reality is that, we have to help Ghanaians in mining communities who are willing to take that as a vocation. I must be frank with you. It is the responsibility of Minerals Commission even to go down to educate them, let them come out. Are you getting me? So that a lot of them can be trained and understand how, where there is a concession, they can go and apply. For instance, if you go to Amansia West District, in my area, that place is a small designated area. Even as at now, as we speak, you can get about 150 concessions that have not been applied at all. But because of poor education, they don't go for it. That is the reality.
Wow. That's very... So your solution to the problem is that Minerals Commission should increase the amount of licenses it gives.
No, I'm talking about the concession. Small scale designated area. At least for every mining community, they must have some concessions available. For instance, if there is a light scale over there, after the lease, they are supposed to share that for about 50% of their concession. But sometimes they do. On paper, it is like that. But when you go to the field, it is not like that. So we need to enforce that to get more concessions for prospective miners to apply. When we do this, it's going to help a lot. Again, you know mining is very intensive. And so funding is an issue. That is why we see a lot of Chinese into the system, because they come in to sponsor some people. But if you go to 2019 Mineral Mining Act, the one that has been amended, foreigners cannot engage in that. They cannot even provide service support. Are you getting it? So the question here is, since 1896 that we started mining in this country, we cannot boast of Mineral Development Bank. If you go to the commercial banks, they don't understand how to grant a loan, soft loan, to miners. But then, to me, I feel the best thing to do going forward is to make sure that the government should sit with the commercial banks, at least explain the basis of mining to them so that they can give soft loans to miners. Apart from that, it is, I think, going forward, we need to make sure that we have Mineral Development Bank. But then, if we are to increase concessions for a lot of people to acquire proper, legal, small scale, then we also have to make sure that we get a lot of people, workers, staff of UPE and Minerals Commission inspectors who will be very strict. The underlying word is what? Strict in making sure they do the right thing. Because if you don't do that, in the end, they will mine, but they will leave a lot of pits. But again, let's all understand that for mining, you have to own the land. Because if you don't own the land, at the end of the day, if you don't cover up the pit, who will be held responsible? And that is why there's the need for people to go for a license. But I'm also appealing to the sector minister that for even the licenses, acquisition of the licenses, if something can be done about the cost, so that a lot of people can go into that. For instance, if you go to Amansia area, If you go there, you could see Galamsey is very prevalent. But in order for our people, in order for those people around to do proper legal mining, they have to make sure that they create small-scale designated areas for a lot of people to apply.
Do you have any messages on the mining? Let's take one each, and then we can deal with it.
All right, so coming from Kofi and Ponsa, Paul, the boats on the river boys are for the Ewa people who are disturbing the water boys. And then Kwate is also saying, stop Galamsey.
So Dash Stinkon says, Ghana as a country, we are very poor in regulating any lucrative industry. Galamsey wouldn't have increased if it had been regulated correctly into small-scale mining from the beginning. Kwabena in Safwa says, Honorable Albert Joseph Kwam is too deep when it comes to Galamsey matters. That 15 minutes is not enough to interview him. Good evening to him.
Okay, coming from Dash Stinkon, he says, Ghana as a country, we are very poor in regulating any lucrative industry. Galamsey wouldn't have increased if it had been regulated correctly into small-scale mining from the beginning.
Okay, and this says, hi Paul, please ask Honourable former MP, how many concessions did he acquire at Insia Blockout for small-scale miners when he was board member of Minerals Commission? And Paulus Kaswa, I believe he's quoting the president. He says, successful Galamsey fight requires collaborative national effort. And he says, President Akufo-Addo, you do all. And that's it.
Okay, Prof, thank you very much. We will have to talk to Prof again. But the interview will be on our social media page so that you can see it. Prof is very, very knowledgeable. And as we keep the Galamsey story on, we'll be talking to him again. Are you running for Parliament again? When you get to the bridge, you cross it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let me put it that way.
When you get to the bridge, you cross it. That's Good Evening Ghana for tonight. We'll be back on another edition on Thursday. Thanks for watching and good night.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.